Is this it? This is it!
We've been holding Power You Make for 30 years. But here's the real question. How much torque are you making? Because every single ACT clutch is rated by the torque produced at the crank. That's all your clutch cares about. Your power, your performance, your success. Unrivaled precision, power, and durability. Visit advancedclutch.com today. 30 years of precision engineering and performance excellence. Because every revolution starts at the crank.
Need a little help? We got help. Need some advice? We got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
These are my race treads for when the road ends.
These are my race treads for shredding the slopes.
These are my race treads for setting the hook.
Racetreads.com. Tires for every adventure.
Fuel your passion with a degree from the University of Northwestern Ohio.
You're not just signing up to take classes, you're also signing up for a culture and a group of friends and family that really want to help you succeed.
These classes alone are so incredible because you're constantly in that shop working on these cars.
The motto is turning your passion into a career. UNOH lives by that. They equip people's passions for them to go out and actually live the life they've always dreamed of.
Look at this, it's a sold-out crowd. Welcome to the streets of Long Beach. Make some noise for the Drip Nation. This is a year to watch. Enjoy it, the most talented drifters in the world.
He's exploding towards his first outside zone.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Yo, Ryan Kirk wants it. It could be anybody that could win here in Long Beach. Explode that back bumper. Send it, here we go. Laser vision on the prize. Your winner, James the Machine Dean.
I have no words for how much this means to me.
That's a hard act to follow. Wow.
All right, welcome back to Long Beach here in 2025. So excited. I feel like the downtime has been way too long, although at the same time it feels like Irwindale was just yesterday. We are here. This is the practice show. My name is Jacob Gettens. Back in the streets of Long Beach. Beautiful weather. Everything is looking exactly how we want it to look when it comes to an event like this. Cannot describe how excited I am to see a lot of the battles that we're going to see. I mean, practice so far has been amazing. We're into our last practice session of the day. And we have so much more that we have to learn, so much more that needs to happen. And we have so many drivers that are going to be competing. And I'm just generally pumped to see how everything's going to turn out. So as we take a look at the drone view coming down and a lot of the different representation when it comes to the countries that are here at Formula Drift for 2025, every year it feels like it's expanding. We're adding more people, we're adding more tracks, we're changing things up in the best way possible. And really 2025 is a season to be celebrated, excited, and frankly, just a little, the anticipation for it. We see all these epic drivers coming in. We have the anticipation of the reveal of the last round. It's one that I've been sitting on, waiting, and just generally pumped to get into. So today I've got Mr. President next to me, Ryan Sage, and we're gonna be hanging out during practice, explaining some things and breaking down what everyone's about to experience.
Yeah, this is like twice in 3 weeks that we get to chat in a personal setting. Now I actually get to be next to you. I'm going to tag you up real quick.
Oh, there we go. Yo,
is that okay?
We're branding,
is that invasion of privacy, or are you okay with that? All right.
I give you consent. We're good. I'm gonna have to get that
little etch.
In. Yeah, it'll be good. How excited are you to get things kicked off? Like, is the anticipation built up and now it's a bit of a breath of fresh air, or is it still building?
Yeah, I'm generally in a mild to moderate state of blueness, so to speak, in the off season, because it's a lot of office work and things like that, which is totally necessary to do. But myself personally, I truly love being at the track around the drivers, watching people try to fulfill their dreams and win events and compete. Like, this is what we've done for a long time. It's what I've done for the majority of my career, and this is really what I get fulfilled about personally. So from a selfish perspective, I'm always excited when a season comes around, even if it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, or it's like, oh my gosh, there might be weather along the way, which we don't have this year, and obviously we did on Saturday last year, so we're very grateful for that. But there really is no better way, in my mind, to kick off a season than to be in our own backyard here in Long Beach.
Yeah, I guess it cuts down on a lot of the logistics too, where with a lot of rounds you have to pack things up and move them, and then you've got flights and hotels and timing, whereas this, I was texting you yesterday. I was like, hey, do you want to sit down? You're like, I'm still at the office.
Yep.
Like, I'm just hanging out at work, and I'll be there later on. I'll see you. So I'm sure that adds a little bit of familiarity and makes this a little bit softer of a launch for you, where you're not like on a 4-hour flight to the first round.
Yeah, we can bring the trailer down. We can go back to the office and get stuff if we need to. So there's a different dynamic for us, but it's also the fact that we have this great relationship with the people in the city and the Long Beach Grand Prix that really help make the event itself so much more than it could be with just us, right? They add all these great elements, and they allow us to use all this wonderful infrastructure. And so it'd be in a certain kind of way, it's extremely uncommon to have something like that. And so we're truly blessed to be able to participate and be at this world-class venue, which is literally built from the ground up.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. And for everybody watching right now, everybody who's tuning in, we are still in practice. This is our last, this is the official practice, kind of the locked-in practice before we get into the seeding competition. So you're going to see a couple of drivers in here that are going to be competing tomorrow, but the majority of people that are in right now, getting everything fine-tuned and dialed in before seeding, which is going to be coming up next. One of those drivers right now, Dmitry Brutsky, out there, and Connor Shanahan debuting his new car, although if you followed his career, it feels kind of like an old car, but he's been incredible in practice so far, and you can even see it with his chase run. He's on it. Like, I'm not saying that he wasn't on it in the previous car, but this is something familiar, right? It's something he can jump into. He's on the side of the vehicle he knows the best, in a chassis that he knows really well. So you're immediately going to be comfortable, and you don't have to worry as much about figuring everything out.
Well, it's certainly worth mentioning, just because both of those guys were just on screen there, and they did incredible jobs in seeding last year. Is like, what is this day, right? For 21 years or something like that, 20 years, we basically had either 2-run qualifying, but as we added what was Pro 2 and now is Pro Spec, and we've expanded the series, we have kind of whittled it down to like that 1+1 qualifying session, and we just saw that over time the quality of that session started to degrade because it became less valuable. And we started toying with this idea of being able to try to promote the product that we love the most, which is the tandem drifting. And so last year was the first year that we basically made an all-tandem competition, and so what you see now on what was the old qualifying day is what we call like the seeding format. And so it's taking the drivers that this year fall outside of the top 20, and so we have 34 drivers, including Vaughn Ginn Jr., 33 without, and then they're placed into a top 16 bracket. Now, because we have 20 locked in, that means 12 are moving forward to go into the top 32. But only 8 can win. So that means even the higher ranked drivers, and we'll talk about this with Daigo and Jack, that may lose if they are ranked and have done the work in the case of it later on in the season to get that ranking, they have a chance, even if they do lose, to move on. And so the story won't just be about winning or losing in seeding. It'll be, what happens to the other competitors that are ranked less than you are?
Yeah, it almost harkens back to how qualifying was before as well, as like, you know, you would always be anticipating, like, okay, how's this person going to do? What score are they going to get? So breaking it down with what you're seeing on screen right now, essentially, sorry, we just had a bit of a wreck there. One of the drivers actually that's, I don't know if I would say on the bubble, but a rookie this year in Connor O'Sullivan, kind of went a little bit hard into outside zone 1 with Rad Dan there and Chase. But essentially getting back to that seating bracket, it really comes down to where your positioning is. So on that bracket, you'll see like Andy Haitley is number 1. He's pretty much safe, especially right now with him being able to get that free run in. So you can see there, Connor O'Sullivan just going a little bit deep. Did look like that wheel got knocked pretty hard as well. So he'll be going back, repairing some arms on that one.
And O'Sully, he's got a pretty anticipated battle in my mind. Though you know, you can kind of tease that because you've been watching what's been going on and know what's been happening with drivers that have had some issues with vehicles. The battle that he's going to take on is a pro spec battle from last year. So that's super exciting. But what you're going to see is that the results from this round and the results from the end of last season are what dictates how that bracket gets organized. And the way that we avoid a lot of the same drivers competing against each other in those early rounds is we have a very slight random number between 4 and 7 that shifts it around so that way if you lose in the top 16, the guy that you face is not the guy that you faced the previous round, the previous round, the previous round. And we've run thousands of simulations to kind of come up with a model that we tweaked even ever so slightly in ways compared to last year, but in major ways when it comes to the points allocation of what you get in seeding now versus what you got in seeding then, what you get in 32 now, what you get then, or what you got then. And, you know, it's all with the goal of having as close to as possible, close to as 100%, a full top 32 bracket if there's more than 32 drivers, and to encourage and create an incentive for drivers to put on the best battles possible, even if they're already into the top 32.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to absorb it right now is within seeding, the lowest ranked driver that loses is going home. It used to be if you win, you're in. If you lose, you're out. Right now, with the amount of drivers that are on the grid today, the lowest ranked driver that loses is the one that's not going to be competing tomorrow. Everybody else moves in, but it's where they are in the seeding bracket that will determine who that they're up against. So it feels a little bit more complex, but I think once it's really boiled down, it's actually a much simpler thing. So you really need to start paying attention to what their ranking is, that number off to the left of their name, and that is going to decide who essentially is going to be going home. The other part to this as well is that seeding now you can obtain points, which is massive when we get into the championship race. Getting into like the Tire Cup and Manufacturer Cup, all these things will start to play in. Like, just because you're in seeding doesn't mean that you've got to fight your way to get to the points. You can earn up to 12 points within seeding, which is massive for some drivers.
Yeah, that's actually the simple part. Is really all you need to remember is the number 3 and the number 10. Yeah. 3 points for every seeding win, 10 points for every top 32 win. And what we saw last year and what we're seeing kind of in the development of sport right now is that for the most part, the people that register for the entire season make it the entire season.
Right.
But last year we had at least 4 drivers miss multiple rounds, either unexpectedly or planned. And when we have that variable, we didn't have the options to make adjustments to format so that we could secure or guarantee a top 32. And that really is our ultimate goal. That's kind of what this year's format addresses.
Yeah, it's really to allow that consistency to happen and have measures in place in case it doesn't. But talking about runs here, all-star lineup, talking about championships. So in watching practice, both of these drivers have been absolutely on fire. James Dean out of the gate, crushing the track.
Isn't it crazy to think for 21 years we never got to see that in this context of practice?
Yeah.
Until you came along.
I know.
Hey, let's do a practice show.
We gotta do a practice show, man. So here's a story all to itself. I just want to verify before I make the big claim here, but that looks like Rome Charpentier's old car. It is, and the person driving it is Tommy Lemaire. So Tommy Lemaire, during practice, had an issue lost an engine, and it looks like he was able to convince Rome. I think he maybe brought him maple syrup or something.
You're not in the wrong place. This is not Hot Pit.
No.
No
That's the last
disrespect
event
to
that
Jeff.
ran.
They're a partner, but yeah, you can obviously tell that he had to make that adjustment last minute. Again, one of the coolest things about the sport, obviously, I would imagine that when the car broke down, motor blown, whatever, it was before he had turned a wheel in the official practice,
Correct.
which is what we are now, which is called the warm-up, which allowed him to be able to change that vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with other types of racing, that is like our parc ferme. Once you turn a lap in this practice that we're watching right now, that is what you're locked in. So no more changing cars. I mean, they can change a lot of other stuff, but that vehicle that you run with at this point, that is what you're stuck with the entire weekend. So amazing that Rome had that car here. I thought I saw it with one of the vendor booths earlier.
It is amazing. Yeah.
But it also shows the camaraderie in the sport. How many other drivers would just be like, yeah, take one of my cars, go run it. We want to see you battle. I'm sure even with Connor O'Sullivan, he's looking at this like, yeah, I want to run him. Something that we hoped we would have seen. Now we still get to see it. Oh!
Yeah, usually if somebody it's a bad thing. I'm thinking like Yuki and Liam.
Right. In this case, it's just we want to put on the best show possible, and Matt Field doing a really good job there. Outside zone 2, tapping that bumper, especially on those Corvettes where there's not a lot of leeway in the back end. There's a few different chassis we have in the sport where, depending on the event, I mean, there's an advantage and a disadvantage to the overhang, if you will, the amount of distance between the wheel and the back of the car. Walled events, having a short overhang really kind of sucks because it means you really got to get into that zone.
Yeah.
Other events like Road Atlanta, where we're kind of judging it more based on where the rear wheel placement is and not the bumper, that disadvantage goes away. I wouldn't say there's any advantages to having a less overhang, but there's definitely a massive disadvantage at a track like this.
And then just all of the incredible engineering that comes about in a sport like drifting. Like, where would you have an application for a collapsible bumper in another sport? It's pretty amazing.
We even look at LZ had a nice little hit there in media day, and he was able to get the car back together. And that was, it was a good hit. Taking a look here.
There you go.
Yeah. Wow, same thing.
Just to remind anybody that may be watching for the first time, that the person in the lead there is literally a teenager, just graduated from middle school.
Crazy. And then
that he's got a teammate that's one of the most world-renowned drifters in the history of the sport.
It's insane to think about what Jerry Yang Racing is doing this year. It's absolutely nuts. So, how do drivers score in 2025? A little bit different this year. Great change, though, in my opinion. You have to win. So in the act of winning, you gain those points, not just being in that bracket. You have to win to get into that place. So an example of this is like, let's say a driver's in for a round, does pretty well. They're automatically placed in top 32. Last year,
give them the big one, baby.
They would just get Vaughn Gittin Jr. is a great example. Vaughn would come in for one round, and he would actually gain points for a round he didn't visit, wasn't there for. Now you actually have to win that battle. And in the act of winning, you gain the points, not just by being in a position.
All right, let me see if I can one-up you real quick.
All right.
Or you're at Irwindale before it gets demolished and crushed, and James Dean is on the precipice of his 4th championship. And really all he needs to do is not have what happened to him the year before, where he really hurt his collarbone and made a brave decision and, stayed away from medical attention to get on the track and compete. He really just needed to bring the car into competition and turn a wheel essentially to win the championship. And so you have a slightly anticlimactic type scenario where it's not in that situation clinched or secured by the win.
Right. It was, to be honest, it was more of like a ritualistic thing that we did by, coming through the burnout box, pulling up the line. He was ready for competition, therefore able to gain those points and winning. Now, if that same scenario would have occurred, potentially there's a lot of variables. He would actually have to win that battle, and in that decision, getting Jared to call out the name, that is when that championship would be clinched. So we've reduced the likelihood that things like that kind of anticlimactic moment can happen. Although I felt like we did a pretty good job of making it feel special.
It's still crushed, right? Because and obviously it's James's 4th. I've been on record saying, at the banquet last year that pretty much makes him like the Michael Jordan of our sport.
I would agree. Yeah.
And that's not even counting everything else that he's done in Europe and his entire career, and the fact that he looks like he's just getting started, if that even means anything. But it's not designed because of that. It's designed philosophically and like foundationally that in order to secure points, you need to win, right? It shouldn't just be about attendance or showing up. You need to be able to get that win to deserve those points, and that means every time somebody secures something, it will have been on the back end of a win.
Yeah, it's when we talk about winning something, you should be rewarded for winning, not just by being in a place.
Right.
So I gotta ask, like, when are we talking about round 8? When's that announcement for everybody who's anticipating?
I've finally just made the decision about how to talk about it, like literally 4 days ago.
Oh, okay.
I texted Jared. The plan is to announce it tomorrow at halftime.
Got it.
After the Hall of Fame ceremony, which and some other people know, but it's the first ever Hall of Fame inductee that's a non-driver.
Wow.
And we'll save it for everybody, but we're really excited about that. And then we'll go right into the round 8 announcement. But I was completely lost about how to do it. We decided pretty early on that we didn't think that it could be done just like with hey, let's do a press release.
Yeah.
But then once you commit to that, how do you present that to an audience live and also, that's watching? And so basically like 4 days ago, I was like, all right, I think I got it. And it wasn't because I thought of anything creative or cool. I was literally driving in my car and a song came on the radio and I was like, that's it.
Will the song give it away?
No.
What's the song? I'm really curious. Like, what would take that over?
It's, I don't know if people the song that got it for me, this is going to feel really weird to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I'm a product of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So I'm going in the 90s realm here. And this is a very, emotionally tinged song. It's a personal song for the person that wrote it. But it's extremely powerful and aggressive song. It's Blind by Korn.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that brought metal into
Are you ready?
the new era.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that song literally ushered metal into the new age.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So that came on, and something, I'll tell a little bit of the backstory, but something about that song triggered something that was going on in our office during that whole process, where I was like, okay, I got it now.
Cool. Man, I have to go back and listen to that album. Great album. As we kind of look over what will be next week, the Long Beach Grand Prix, it really is incredible that we're able to work with the city of Long Beach on this event. Like, it's kind of nuts to think about, right? It really does put us in that echelon of racing that this is acknowledged and allowed and promoted and accepted and celebrated in a lot of ways. And
it's that, and it's the history of them, loving the sport. It's very uncommon for people to go to the extreme of not just saying, yeah, it's cool. We're happy to have you rent our venue, or we're happy to have you at our track.
Yeah.
We'll take your rental agreement. To the complete, almost opposite of that is drifting is part of the culture here.
Right.
We love drifting. We want this to be the home of the sport. And that's what Long Beach has done for us. We're sitting right next to the operation director for the Long Beach Grand Prix, his son, sitting right next to us right now. It's very much a family affair. And if you think about like what happened last night, where we usually do the parade in downtown, we didn't do that this year. We did like a private 31 cars, 32 cars. I think everybody basically came. Escort across the bridge over through Shoreline, across the bridge to the Queen Mary, to the most insane event with Larry Chen and Nightlights last night. Like, yesterday was my day to be like, let me get to bed by 10. I went to bed at like 1:30.
Too much hype. Well, we got lots of practice still coming up. We're going to take a short break here while we get prepped for it, so don't go anywhere. We are going to be right back here on the practice show, Formula Drift Long Beach.
And here see James Dean come on out swinging.
Mentally, it didn't change that much. The car is pretty much the same, just more refined. Obviously, this new chrome blue AutoZone Tensile livery, which I absolutely love.
Look at this. This thing caught fire so quick because it exposed the nitrous line.
We also repainted the engine bay after the last year's fire in Long Beach. So, looking fresh again, and hopefully we never have luck like that again.
James Dean gets the win!
We have to remind ourselves why did we fall in love with drifting? Why did we want to chase this dream? And it was because it looked so fun from the outside. And when you're at the top level, all of us drivers take it very seriously.
First ever four-time champion.
I just want to enjoy it. I want to drive for the fans. I want to, you know, enjoy as many laps as I can and hopefully have some good results along the way.
Get out there and have fun. Because you've got Meguiars. And we've got your back. From wash, to paint care, to maintenance and more, Meguiars has your hybrid ceramic solution for every adventure. Meguiars, reflect your passion.
Link ECU, let's get it!
We got the spiciest K-Series built.
Supercharged Ford Eliminator engine.
Oh, good old SR20. Blink Monsoon is so rowdy.
Naturally aspirated, 1,000 horsepower, LS-based engine, and then we're going to add nitrous on top of it. Running an S54 controlled by Link ECU. Link direct injection, EcoBoost Fox body.
I actually put an F824 in it.
B58, E46, Link ECU.
No matter what engine you have, it's a stock K24 or it's a 1,000-wheel 2J, Link ECU all day.
Who the hell can stop me?
Go!
There's no better way to test your tires than on the racetrack. That's why at Kenda Tires, we compete with the same tires we sell. And that's how the technology built into every Vesda UHP Max Plus tire goes from podium to pavement. Whether you're a professional driver chasing podiums or a grassroots enthusiast looking for weekend excitement, Kenda Tires are designed for your journey.
All right, so this is it. This was the epic parade last night over the bridge. Oh man, so cool! Like, look at just that shot right there. It was nuts. I actually went back and took a nap, and then got woken up by all the cars going by the hotel. So, but
don't brag, man.
Yeah, I know. The time change, but look at all these people packed. I mean, absolutely epic. Seeing the post of like, hey, we're out of parking. We have no more room. You're gonna have to walk in. That should tell you absolutely everything you need to know, dude, about how excited people are about
There
this.
was like a 5-mile line down the freeway, and I looked up on my phone, and it was like 14 minutes to go a mile or something like that. And so totally unexpected, but obviously you do a Larry Chen plus what we provide, but then the city and the Queen Mary were so gracious to us to allow us to use that iconic backdrop. It just made something that we didn't know what was going to happen so memorable.
Yeah.
It almost feels like you have to do that now.
Yeah, you've kind of set the bar now. I mean, you jumped the shark, so what do we do? What do we do next? Like, what's the next biggest parking lot in the area? We
just go blast down the 710, do a U-turn right up there on Long Beach Boulevard, come back down, drift into the port, jump off, go scuba diving.
We have to jump over a little shark at some point. So, yeah, Tommy Lemaire back out. Let's see how he's able to adapt to this car. Something he's never driven. Holy Jesus! This is what I mean. Okay, so I will say this is probably one of the most exciting rookie selection we've had come up in a long time.
Well, I mean, I think it's also kind of worth looking at the history of this. We used to we used to allow the top 8 drivers from Pro 2 Pro Spec to come up. Now, maybe the champion, maybe one guy. In fact, that's how Adam LZ got in, is in the COVID year. He had finished 6th or 7th when we had that rule, 1 through 8. And he's like, well, you guys are doing 4 double headers. I might as well go to pro. He made his way into pro that year, and that's how, you know, he was able to compete, you know, by having those results. Now it's only the top 3. I cannot remember, maybe you know, the last time we had all 3 drivers move up from Pro Spec.
Travis Reeder, Dylan Hughes. And I can't remember who was 3rd that year. That'd be 2019.
So at least you know it's been done.
Yeah,
but it's rare.
I believe that was the case. I think because Beecham won the championship in Pro 2 in 2018, I believe. But then, yeah. Anyways, something like that off the top of my head.
Speaking of champions.
Yeah, James Dean, and then big change here. Ryan Literal. A little bit late coming out, but looking good, looking really good. He was, I don't know the entire story, but I do know that he was late for tech inspection getting in, requested some extra time, got through tech, he's here now.
Hitting that lime, is that a lime? What would you say that is?
That's a bust of lime.
Yeah, last year his color scheme was a little bit different, like a little bit darker.
Yeah, he went more, well, he had the Sunoco livery in the beginning, and then switched to like another lime green livery, and this looks like a different one from that.
And that one's really popping.
Yeah, no, it's good. The livery thing is always like something I very much enjoy seeing. It's one of those I don't want that leaked. Like, I don't want that info.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised every time. For me this year, Austin Matta's got the best livery.
Okay.
The crazy graphics on the side. He's got this like skeleton creature on it. Like, that's the kind of stuff I really, really like. Don't get me wrong, like the safe, let's put some lines and stuff on it. That's cool.
Right.
That's race cars and stuff. But like, I think back to a Matt Field, Gears of War, Irwindale. I think 2017.
Oh yeah.
Right. It was one round, and it's still one of those
S14, right?
Yeah, but that's like a livery that's stuck with me over the years, where I'm still thinking about.
That was the one that he won.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of a breakout event for him.
Yeah, it really was. But those, like, I like the creativity in it. I want to see something epic. Like, you have this canvas. Let's do something really cool. Ryan Literal's always had really, really good liveries. Like, RTR's had good ones, but they all have kind of just, like, rolled in from one year to the next.
You definitely can't miss RTR because, the RTR brand and Vaughn, they are so, like,
it's
unmistakable. Like, you know exactly what it is, and they're so creative with everything that they do. If you were to say, that's Ryan Literal, but you couldn't see his name on the placard, you may or may not know that was him in that car, because it's so striking from his previous liveries, or it's a striking version compared to.
Yeah, for me, it's like you have such an awesome opportunity to stand out and do something cool. Chatting with Jonathan Hurst, like, I was joking, I called his livery like a bass lure, but it's like super shiny and bright and very loud. I don't, but I know what a bass lure looks like. And it looks like an XLR this year. But no, you have this opportunity to do something cool, do something with it, to be notable, to do it. Even, Rudy Hansen there in the background. Like, you could squint, you know that's Rudy Hansen's car.
Yeah.
Manoa's car as well looks really, really good. But from a distance, it's not great. Ooh, what's going on with Matt Field there?
Well, and Field, I had to, hit him up just to be sure. Like, many people, because they saw the debut. I was at his debut in SEMA of the C8, and that got a ton of press. And obviously, he crushed it. He looks amazing, sounds amazing. The whole nine. He posted some stuff within testing or whatever. I think a lot of people assumed that was going to be the competition vehicle, but if you had actually been following what he was saying, like, he was already decided that's going to be kind of maybe a roll-in. He's got different plans for it. At some point, he will. But there was a lot of people that were like, I can't wait to see the C8, and I think he's going to have it on display and maybe do some things with it. I heard maybe he was even going to do the Grid Life stuff that we've got going on in Road Atlanta. Why not?
Yeah.
Whatever. That will probably be a natural progression for him, I'm guessing. But, those kind of things, the going from that chassis of the same make and general model, right, to what he is now in kind of developing and testing is also a really cool thing, like kind of staying with it and saying, this is the next model that I'm going to progress into.
I think it opens up even the discussion of mid-engine cars and where is the next progression of chassis?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find rear-wheel drive, generally manual cars with a decent amount of power now. Companies just aren't producing it, so we're going to have to start working a little bit harder to find those things. You see Chelsea Denofa and what he's doing with the Porsche.
Yeah.
I believe there was a Porsche in FD years and years ago. I can't remember who drove it.
Tyler McQuarrie.
Tyler McQuarrie. There was a famous quote from Tony Angelo where he said, "Hey, go prove Isaac Newton wrong." Right. So, but seeing what Denofa was able to do in New Jersey with that Porsche, I'm like, there's something there.
Yeah.
And I think that awoke a lot of people who were like, hey, the technology has now caught up with the opportunity of a rear or mid-engine car.
What I see, and in particular when we come to an event like this where, next week we're going to be here with IMSA and IndyCar, is that people are so, I hesitate to use the word impressed because I feel like it's not enough.
Yeah.
With what type of engineering and creativity these guys are doing because of the very reason that you said. There's not a lot of like, hey, this is a drift car type thing.
Right.
They're out there, but you have to be creative. And then if you choose a chassis that might be a little bit more difficult or counterintuitive for Isaac Newton, for example,
exactly.
Then all of a sudden you see this huge just wash of creativity in these guys developing these things that on paper shouldn't make sense.
Right.
But then they make it make sense.
But there's so much about what we do that does not make sense when it comes to like
it's the not sense sport.
Right. But that's what makes it great is like that the constraint develops the ingenuity.
Right.
And then we get some of these insane chassis, insane builds. And the fact that a Corolla, like Ryan Turk's Corolla has a longer wheelbase than Frederick Osbo's Supra.
Right.
Like that if you think about that on a surface level, that makes absolutely no sense, right?
Yeah.
So, and the fact that the Corolla on paper could be a better drift chassis than a Supra is like, that's wild. That's absolutely wild. Makes no sense. But taking a look at a couple of big rule changes this year. New standard for one more times. That basically applies to the seating bracket that we are going to allow one more time within that. Incompletes are much more strict. That more or less rolls over from last year, although there was one more incomplete added in, which is essentially the car settling. And I think the best way to explain that is when you see a car go around a corner, you can see all the weight moving to one side. If there are times where a car may not straighten out and they're still in drift, but the car settles out. They're not actively drifting anymore. It's going to be something where it needs to happen for us to really dig into that situation. It's hard to explain just verbally without a visual aid, but it's one of those, once you see it, you're like, oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Well, we've kind of been trotting down this path of like, how do you create a pie chart of things that occur in a car that people might have called a zero before we coined the term incomplete, and find 95% approval or acceptance that everybody agrees on it.
Yeah.
And so a couple of years ago, we had a huge body of people that were like, well, when there's a little bit of straightening, but it's not really visible, it shouldn't be an incomplete. He still had good forward momentum. And we'd have a lot of these discussions go back and forth, and how long should they be straightening for, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure we made some mistakes along the way, but what we're trying to get to is what the drivers as a consensus and what most of the fans think, yes, that actually is antithetical or not drifting in that moment.
Right.
And that's where the settling comes in.
Well, it started almost as a joke discussion and then turned very serious once we got into it, and it was the question of what is drifting. Like define drifting, because it was.
I know.
We were joking about it, and then we all kind of started talking like, well, define it. Like, can we boil drifting down to one or two sentences? Can we define it in 3 or 4 words? And if we can't, then we need to try and define what we do in the least amount of words humanly possible in order for it to happen.
Well, straightening was the big one because, necessarily cars, when they transition from one angle to the next, the wheels are going to come to a 0-degree axis for, 200 milliseconds if it's a quick transition or whatever. But there's a moment in the middle there. If I took a photo, I could show you that it's at 0 degrees, right? Now, how long does it hang there before it counts as a straight? That's the debate.
Well, there's also times where the wheels might be sideways, but the car is not actively drifting.
Right.
So it's hard to add them as a definition. So you got Rudy Hansen and Kira Manoa going around. Hansen, a bit of a struggle year last year. Ooh, missing that touch and go pretty bad, but a little bit of a struggle last year. I'm excited that he's going to be focusing solely on pro this year. Although Shelly, his wife, running in pro spec. Have we had? I believe the early years we had another couple drifting. I want to say second year, third year. I'd have to go back and look it up. I'm sure.
Married, boyfriend, girlfriend. Yeah. I mean, I think if you just take that distinction out of it, yes. I'm trying to remember who, though. Obviously, it's a little bit more wavy when it's boyfriend and girlfriend because people.
Yeah, exactly. There's some things. But if you do know, hey, drop a comment. Let us know. Tell us who it is. But we're going to be wrapping things up here in practice. Stay tuned. We're going to be back in, approximately 20 minutes?
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. And we'll see everybody for our seating bracket. See you soon.
Drifting is not just a sport, it's culture, it's in our blood.
Here we go, Andy Haley. Oh, he is riding that tire right on that white line.
Tires are what we live and breathe in Formula D. We couldn't do this without them.
Motorsports isn't complicated. It's made up of races where you go as fast as you can, as best as you can, as sideways as you can, and whatever this is. Our team, Toyota Gazoo Racing. We make some seriously fast cars, like this one and this one, definitely this one. And they all have great drivers, ones that win, like win a lot. Look at all these legends. The hottest drivers right now are him, her, and this guy. They're all part of a big, happy family of speed demons. Now you're up to speed. You in?
You need parts? We got parts. Need it fast? We got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
Oh, O'Reilly.